Firstly, I'd like to acknowledge the Burruang people as traditional custodians of the land on which I find myself and pay respect to their elders past, present and emerging. Water is of great significance to Indigenous peoples. Their profound knowledge of surface and groundwater systems has helped them to survive across arid country for thousands of years. Throughout Australia, Aboriginal people have been excluded from laws to water rights due to the failure to acknowledge them as legal landowners. This includes exclusion from the management of the Yarra River. In 2017, the Victorian Government, in the presence of Wurundjeri tribe members, enacted the Yarra River Protection Willipjin Birrung Murrin Act into Parliament. The Act defines the Yarra River as one living and integrated natural entity, taking a new approach to planning that reflects an Indigenous perspective. Its purpose is to give an independent voice to the river through a statutory advisor body, the Birrung Council, consisting of at least 2 members of the local Indigenous tribe. While not providing the river or the council with legal status, it does portray a genuine shift towards a greater inclusion of Indigenous people in water catchment planning and management. As one of the first acts of its kind in Australia, the implications of it for Western River catchment planning are currently unknown. My name is Lily Brown, and my thesis explored the following questions. How is the Yarra River Act contributing to new approaches to planning and management of the river and its environs? And how do governance structures and processes support implementation of the Yarra River Act? To answer these questions, a policy analysis consisting of 9 strategic documents from local council areas along the river was undertaken, supported by 5 semi-structured interviews involving local policy officers and councillors from these municipalities. An analytical framework used to guide the data collection analysis was developed from the literature review findings. This consisted of 3 themes: intersection of Western Indigenous knowledge, governance and participation, and custodianship, caring for country. The data identified that while Indigenous knowledge has been engaged in land management practices such as managing landscape using fire, there has been a failure to include Indigenous knowledge in other planning and management processes, including the implementation of planning controls along the river. Additionally, there were concerns raised regarding how the principles of the Act were going to be enforced along the river, with a strong governance structure yet to be announced and differing views on what that should look like. Thirdly, the planning controls implemented along the river in conjunction with the development of the Act only go as far as Punt Road instead of extending into the city. The findings have highlighted 3 main conclusions, providing avenues for further research. 1, planning controls and provisions implemented through the Act need to account for the whole river and should not exclude the river within the CBD. 2, Indigenous knowledge engagement participation must be included across all aspects of planning, decision-making and legislation creation, not just restrict to land management practices. And thirdly, an effective governance structure and agreed objectives are required to ensure compliance, cooperation and collaboration along the river.